The fight is a wrap. Jake Paul gets it done against Nate Diaz by unanimous decision. Let's take a look at the scorecards, 97-92. That's how one judge scored it, and the other two judges scored it 98-91. So, of course, I thought those scorecards were a little bit too wide, Bryan. I had it scored 6-4 in favor of Jake. But I thought Nate Diaz definitely did some work, and it's crazy. Like, what were your thoughts on this fight?
This stream is not going to be a long one because it's 1:17 a.m. on the East Coast right now. So if you were New York or anywhere on the East Coast watching this fight, man, we were here for a while. Look, shout out to Logan Paul, who I fell asleep watching him during SummerSlam because I was tired. But he was fighting Ricochet the first night, the first fight of the night, first match of the night, and hopped on a plane and flew from Detroit to Dallas to watch this fight. He was in attendance for that. This was just, I mean, this was entertaining. I'll tell you that. And that's the thing about this Jake Paul shit. Like, he's a boxer, he's not a boxer, whatever. I know he's controversial, whatever, but he's entertaining. He's an entertaining dude. His fights are entertaining. His fights seem to be very close. I thought this was not scored well, but like I'm not gonna like seriously break down this fight from a super technical standpoint. It is what it is here. And I do think that Jake Paul, he's clearly got some skill. His conditioning isn't amazing. But he's come a long way and he seems to get better each fight up until this one. I felt like between this Tommy Fury and I didn't see much improvement, but Nate Diaz was Stockton slapping his way back into the fight. This is ridiculous. And it was just fun to watch. Like, I can't really complain much. I thought Jake Paul won it. I thought it was a little closer than this. I think I had it. I don't remember if it was 96, 93, or 95, 94. It got really close there because Nate Diaz started to win some of those late rounds. But again, I'm not going to break this down as if it were, Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. last week.
Yeah, of course. And by the way, keep the comments coming. We will get to your comments in about 20 minutes or so. We are going to get to your comments. And
maybe a little sooner, not going to lie, because 20 minutes we might be out of here.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. We're also doing Amanda Serrano as well and Heather Hardy. So that will have a real breakdown because Jesus also, we'll go to his comment right quick. He said, how can you do a live on fixed fights? Jake, whatever. Well, we're gonna do Amanda Serrano and Heather Hardy, and that was actually our main event,
right?
That we were excited about. But of course, they are the headliners, so we got to break it down a little bit. I'm not gonna get into the fight too much, but I did give 4 rounds to Nate Diaz. I gave him the 4th, I gave him the 6th, I gave him the 7th, I gave him the 8th. So I did give him 4 rounds.
Yeah,
and so I think you could have even argued to give him the 9th, but I thought Jake did enough. Yeah, I thought Jake did enough in the last 2 rounds. I gave him the last 2 rounds, but nonetheless, I think that it was entertaining. There were some parts of the fight like early on where I'm like, I don't even care for this fight. But Nate Diaz, entertaining as always. Jake Paul was entertaining. And that's the thing that kind of poses the question, because we're not going to spend too much time on this, you guys. It's late there on the East Coast, as Bryan said. Yeah. But I think Jake Paul has gotten better in every fight. Before we would only talk about him having this right hand, but he was really showing off that left today. That left hook was landing and it looked really good. He does have power. Does this fight, though, Bryan, to pose the question, make him more of like, I hate to say it, but like a real boxer? Do you think this is the fight where people are like, okay, we got to take him serious?
Is he good enough for you to call him a club fighter? Is he at that level?
I'm asking you.
Like that's kind of my. I did the thing that you hate, which is answer a question with a question. Just realized that. Look, I think with Jake Paul, it's a couple different things. One, I want to talk about what you said after the fight, also, which was very interesting. But yeah, I feel like he's getting a little better, but I don't think he's going to beat like a cruiserweight contender or even a cruiserweight like prospect or whatever. I think he is where he is. Mm-hmm. He's going to beat some of these MMA dudes. Who are not boxers and very, just an entirely very different discipline. And as long as he keeps doing these fights, people are going to watch, especially if he has Amanda Serrano as the co-feature. And you have H2O, who's on the undercard, who looks like he can be a legitimate prospect, knocking out William Silva, which a murderer from Puerto Rico who's now in jail failed to do when he was coming up as a lightweight contender in boxing. We're going to leave that there. And I think with Same guy.
No, I know. Let's hurry this up though. You know, it's late. It's late.
Yeah. Okay, fine. But I just think that with Jake Paul, like, listen, he's gonna fight, or he wants to fight Nate Diaz in MMA now. PFL, $10 million. Sign me up to watch that.
Yeah,
I want to see how that. I want to see how that goes. I want to see some of the boxers in MMA because people are coming into this world, and it's like I want to see how Jake Paul does over there. And I don't imagine it's going to be extremely well, even though he does have heavy hands. But good luck in 5-minute rounds in the octagon.
Yeah,
with Nate Diaz's conditioning. So there's that.
Yeah, and the conditioning kind of came into play as well. You saw Nate Diaz be better in the later rounds, but nonetheless, I thought it was entertaining. It was kind of what I expected. I didn't expect much from this fight. And it kind of poses the question to see what's next for a guy like Jake Paul. You mentioned in the post-fight interview, he did say he would be interested in fighting Tommy Fury again. Yeah. That's a fight that I would be interested in seeing again. But other than that, like, what boxer would he face? Right? Like,
I want him to fight. I want him to fight KSI. To get those two dudes to fight each other.
Yeah, which would do well.
Tommy Fury in October. I can't believe I'm talking about this shit. KSI is fighting Tommy Fury in October, and I'm like, yeah, Jake Paul should just fight KSI or Tommy Fury after, or both, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we might possibly see. I think Tommy Fury is more possible. Yeah. That one got a lot of hype, and they made a lot of paper. That's the one thing. Nate Diaz made bread in this fight. So good for him. If you have any more comments on Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, drop them because we are going to move forward now. Bryan, any final thoughts before we move over to the fight that we were really hype about, Serrano and Hardy?
My closing thoughts are, listen, I was resistant to the whole Jake Paul thing, but I watch the fights because I feel like you just kind of have to at this point. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're covering the sport, hard to ignore. And they are entertaining. They are interesting. And Nate Diaz, magnetic personality. And if they get it on again in MMA, PFL, they have the ESPN deal. That's going to be heavily promoted. MMA rules. I'm going to watch the shit out of that.
Yeah. And